This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
So it's already great that it's playoff hockey season, but when you mix round 2 playoff hockey in the ECHL with a rivalry matchup, it really doesn't get much better than this, does it?
Not really. I mean, I've been waiting for this matchup since before they went to the finals for the first time as the Walleye.
It's the hype around this for fans that don't pay attention to the ECHL. They might be like, what are we talking about? But the hype around this matchup is massive. These are two fan bases that respect each other but hate each other. They travel well, and they always pack both their arenas pretty well. Obviously, Toledo packs theirs well. Fort Wayne does pretty decent at that too. This is going to be fun. I'm so excited to cover and talk about this series that's coming up here. And thank you all for tuning in to hear our series preview of the Central Division Finals in the ECHL. This is the Hockeytown West podcast, and I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis.
And like I just said, it's our preview of the Central Division Finals in the ECHL. We're super excited to be talking about this. It's funny when you cover one team that's just starting the playoffs and the other one's in round 2. But hey, we find a way, right? And the Walleye kick off their action against Fort Wayne Friday and Saturday at home. And they got a weird schedule with the setup here. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But at the same time, the hype is real. I'm excited. Nick and I are making the trip down to Toledo on Saturday for game 2. And you know me, I always talk about on the show how much I love experiencing the Huntington Center in the playoffs. There's nothing like it. So we're hype. The series is going to be fun. Let's dive into this preview here. And Travis, I'm going to throw it over to you to get started.
Really only one piece of news that came out basically today, and Mark Monroe from The Blade tweeting out that Tyler Spezia will be returning to the lineup basically for this series. Didn't provide a game number, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see him Friday. That would be my best guess. I think if it would have got to a point in the first round based off how his basically with how he worded the tweet, that we may have seen him in the last round if it went deep, but thankfully it didn't, and it gave him a little bit extra time just to rest up. So that's a huge piece for Toledo to get back into the lineup. I know he's probably super excited, and you guys got to be excited too.
Yeah, I'm always happy to see Spezia in the lineup. Obviously, as a longtime Griffin, we've loved him here, and I just love to see him play. He had an incredible regular season up until his injury, obviously. And this is kind of like getting a major acquisition back for this team as you head into round 2. Like you look at the Toledo Walleye, and they kind of rolled through round 1 against Indy. They didn't need Spezia, and like you said, the wording and how Mark phrased that tweet, the guys did a good job out there. Of course, he wants to be out there fighting, but they did a good job handling it and gave him some time to rest. So it definitely feels like if they needed to, he could have jumped back in. But we know Spezia is a warrior, in Grand Rapids being that third, fourth line grinder. And then he goes to the ECHL and he can find the back of the net in ridiculous fashion, puts up big numbers, and is also still a physical presence out there too. I'm curious to see how long it'll take him to get up to speed with this lengthy break between round 1 and 2 for these guys. I think he's had a lot of practice, and we know the Walleye practice hard, so I hope he's up to game speed. But at the same time, there'll probably be a little bit of rust that needs to be shaken off. I think the biggest question of the day, though, is where does he slot into the lineup, Trav?
They got to go back to what worked, right? There's no better place to basically put him. I mean, we'll get into the lineup as what I think it'll be a little later, but I think that'll be your first line. It'll go back to the Hansons, as Hawkins has called them.
I love it.
I'm super excited because the last time we were down in Toledo, we got to watch him. And now we waited this long just for his arrival to come back, So
you did.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to come back a little bit earlier, but I'm sure he did too, to be back in the lineup. And I just think this just gives the Walleye just another weapon in the lineup. I mean, you could see them last round take this up to another level. I can't wait to see what Spezia does to add this team and going up to that extra level in this playoff series. Like, it's it's gonna be electric. It's gonna be freaking crazy. I'm so excited to go back on Saturday.
Well, the one thing you have to kind of point out is like this is their last like big piece of help that's coming. Like they only got one from Grand Rapids in Bantle, and he showed up in the middle of this first round, and you basically had one guy that wasn't healthy, and he was the last. Basically, the only way to put it is he's your last form of help that's coming. Like some of these teams probably still have guys in the American League playing in the playoffs and so on and so forth. Like this is it. Like you have him come back. Obviously, somebody's going to go out, and then from there, it's a total crapshoot of like, okay, this is our 24, and this is all we got. So it's not like anything else is coming, which is fine.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty here.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I got to preface this too, because I know it's been the talk of the town in Toledo with Hunter Johannes not getting that fifth game, and everyone freaked out that he wasn't in the lineup last night. If you missed our update, Dan Watson did confirm he is battling an injury right now, and that is why he was not in the lineup for game 1 for Grand Rapids. So it wasn't, we didn't send him back and we're not putting him in, screw you type of situation. He's injured. So want to clear the air on that in case you missed those updates on the social pages last night or our latest episode where we talked about that game. But yeah, this is the last piece. And, you know, Trav, when we did our recap of the series with that one episode, since we only got to do one episode with the first round with how quick it went, the confidence in this roster, the way it was then, was already super high with what we watched them do in the first round. So again, when you're getting this last piece, but it's really all they need, honestly, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to need more than this to hopefully go deep in this playoff run here and do some serious damage. But they're going to need a guy like Spies in this series because Fort Wayne is not going to be a cakewalk. Like, this is a tough team. And with the rivalry that we have here, it's going to be a battle on the ice every night. It's going to be physical, it's going to be fast, and it's going to be tough.
This is a series, and we'll get into it, you know, kind of going into the head-to-heads here, but, like, this really reminds me of like Colorado Dallas to a point. Like Fort Wayne kind of plays that like heavier game, maybe not all speed, but just heavier with skill, kind of like what the Stars play. I mean, if you look at their roster and how the Dallas Stars play hockey, I think you could make very fair comparisons to the way that Fort Wayne plays. Then I think with Toledo, it's going to be like overwhelmed with speed and skill, like kind of like how Colorado, when they're going, they like to play very fast, up-tempo, high-octane offense. So it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, you look at the head-to-head matchup here. I mean, the regular season, Toledo went 5-3 against them. So we did edge them out this year in the regular season. All that goes out the window. We all know that. And this will be, I believe, the 5th all-time meeting with Toledo having won 4 of the previous 5.
It's exciting, man. Like you said, the regular season record goes out the window, and that doesn't matter. It's much fun as it is to talk about. This is uncharted territory. We don't know what we're going to get into, but we know it's going to be fun to watch. And if you like fast-paced, rough playoff hockey, you're going to want to be tuning into this series, you know? I think Fort Wayne has some weapons. The Walleye obviously have some weapons. Fort Wayne brings the physicality. The Walleye have shown, even without, you know, Chaz Redekop in the lineup, they can bring physicality. I know Pilon's hurt as well, but I still think there's enough physical pieces there that can do damage if need be. I'm not saying they need to go out and fight, but at the same time, like if they need to, I don't think there's a guy on the roster that wouldn't step up and, you know, answer the bell if they had to. I'm just really excited for what this is about to be. And I know we're hyping this up and watch it be a like 1-goal game every game or like a 2-1 game. And it very well could be. We're going to talk about goaltending here later on with this series, but it's just the only words I can use to describe it right now are excited.
Yeah, it's really the only thing you can be for it, right? And, you know, we've waited. 2019 was a long time ago. I think that was the last matchup. So it's crazy, right? And it's their biggest rival, and to not play, especially with the first 2 rounds being in your division, to not play your biggest rival and that long is quite substantial. To get into the format, it's going to go to a more conventional ECHL format, which is 2-3-2, which is fine. Like, still not ideal. I still wish it was 2-2, 1-1-1, but I think
especially with that short travel, like, come on.
Yeah, you know, it's irritating, but it is what it is. And, you know, you got game 1 and 2 in Toledo this Friday, Saturday. Game 3 is in Fort Wayne on Monday. Game 4 is Wednesday in Fort Wayne. Game 5 is Thursday in Fort Wayne before coming back a week from Saturday. And the following Monday would be in Toledo if it goes that far.
They don't have to wait a week between game 1 and 2?
No.
Oh, it's beautiful. Lucky.
Yeah, it's they keep it pretty quick flowing in the ECHL, not watermelon crawl like they do in the AHL, which I've ran it about enough.
Which, I mean, I commented to you guys earlier, if Grand Rapids' series goes 5 games and this goes 7, they'll both wrap up on the same night. Like,
That's so
how
stupid.
dumb is that?
I don't think it'll happen. I don't think either series will go the full.
Well, we'll get to our predictions for this one later on, but I know what you're referencing, Nick, after a 4-0 loss last night. I know what you're talking about. Let's dive into some of these stats here, Trav. You pulled some postseason stats for both teams here. Just kind of walk me through what you found and what the comparisons are here.
Well, if you look at power play percentage, Toledo's at 30, Fort Wayne's at 42.9, so a pretty high power play for Fort Wayne. Penalty kill, Toledo's got a pretty sizable advantage at 84.6 versus 75%. So special teams, again, is going to play a very key factor. You've seen Toledo kind of capitalize on a lot of big chances and stupid penalties early in the series against Indy. So if they can do that again, that will be huge. You look at the goals for a game, Toledo's at 5 and Fort Wayne's at 4.14. And then the goals against is 2.5 for Toledo and 3.29 for Fort Wayne. So if you watched any of that first series, there was a couple chaos games to where it just got out of control one way. There were some overtime games, and then there was just like the games where it's close and the team pulls away late. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, you look at it and it's two fairly comparable teams. I mean, it's not that much different, I don't think. If you look, I mean, the percentages kind of look that way, but I think if you kind of just watch the games, you'll see that it's not that big of a difference.
I want to touch on one of the stats you talked about there. It was the special teams. You know, when you look at the Indy Toledo series there, Indy tried to come in and play that rough style of hockey and, you know, get the Walleye to feed into it, get those retaliatory penalties that you always see called. You never see the first guy that starts to get the call. It's always the guy that retaliates, right? But Toledo did a great job of keeping their cool and playing their style of game and just really not letting themselves feed into what Indy was trying to do. And you got to think it's just the same mentality going into this one, right?
Absolutely. You just want to skate away. Obviously there's a time and a place to stick up for yourselves, but like at the same time, sometimes it's easier to just skate away and take a power play if they take a stupid penalty, which if Iowa had any power play in Game 7 last night, they probably could have got that game tied because Fort Wayne just kept taking stupid penalty after stupid penalty in the third period. But Iowa just couldn't find that next goal to get them within one and then get the equalizer. So I think that's probably the biggest factor. We know if you've watched enough Toledo Fort Wayne games, you know what to expect, right? They're going to come in, they're going to play chippy, they're going to play physical, they're going to try to get under your skin. That's just kind of what they do. You just have to skate away ultimately. Be the bigger person. Again, like I said, there's always a time and a place where you got to stand up for your team. But if you can do it in a matter of which, if you don't cross that line, that's the biggest thing. Like if you look at, I'm just going to say his name, Brad Marchand, for so many years, he's tight-roped that line so well over his career. I think it's just a matter of trying to tightrope it to where you just kind of go into it and be like, okay, well, you can take the extra penalty. We'll just score.
Yeah, and that's like when you say, you know, there's the time and the place for, you know, handling your business, obviously, and you want to just skate away in those situations. I think some fans look at that as like the team's not tough enough to handle the situation, when in reality, it's just smart play to go out there and just skate away from it. You push and shove, but just don't be stupid. And I just want to remind fans that when you see your team kind of just stand there and take it, like I think of Mo Sider, he's the perfect example of a guy who will get shoved, pushed, whatever, just stands there with that look on his face like, all right, are we done yet? Are we done yet? Come on. Like, that's just the mentality you have to have with it. And that's why, you know, he doesn't take those stupid penalties, and you don't want this team to do the same. So the same approach has to go with this one.
I get that look a lot from you, Brandon, while we do this podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about. Let's talk about some guys to watch out for here in this series. Obviously, players to watch on the Toledo side. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of power on that offense there.
Well, if you go with guys that were just point per game players in the first round, you got Brandon Hawkins, Mitchell Lewandowski, Trenton Bliss, Colby Ambrosio, Jalen Smerrick, Sam Craggs, Carson Bannell, and Brandon Cruz.
That's it?
That's ridiculous.
Basically, just kind of what you expect, right? Or have kind of come to see and expect. So we don't really, I don't think, have to spend a ton of time on that. We know who the big guys are, and you need your role guys to just be role guys. And if they can chip in, occasionally, like the other night, it's kind of funny. They're playing right now. It was funny, they were talking to Paul Maurice about like his third line. And he said the same thing about like Tarasenko last year, but it was like his third line. They were like, do you need like 3 or 4 goals from this line in a series? Like, no, I need 1. Like, give me 1. So like, if your depth can get you a timely goal elsewhere, I think that's going to be a pivotal thing for Toledo. I think Fort Wayne will probably try to do a lot of things to maybe take away the weapons a little bit better than Indy did. I think this is going to be a much tighter series than what a lot of people are expecting. I'm thinking like it's going to be a couple 2-1 games, maybe a 3-2. None of this 6-6 nonsense that was 7-6 in the first round with Iowa. I just think both teams structurally play within themselves a little bit better. So we'll see. But
I hear some bulletin board material for the Walleye here.
I
hear a challenge there.
I don't know. To me, it's not like, it's just you get to the second round, everything gets tighter as you go along. And I think we kind of seen it at times last year with Wheeling. Like in the second round, there were just points in time where it got like tougher and tougher. So it's just one of those things to where you just got to fight through it and get the timely scoring and hope your big guns can also statistically keep up the pace they're on.
So you need your forwards to score, your goalies to stop pucks, right?
Yeah. If you want to be like Steve Yzerman, yes, that's the most honest answer. Yeah, goalie stop puck, forward score goals,
score more than the other team, and we're moving on. Simple.
And to transition to Fort Wayne, like they got a few guys, right? Like the one that really sticks out for me is Alex Aliardi. Like he's a big game player. He's a really good player. He's 9 points in 7 games. Jack Duggan, also another, like, he's one of the guys that can be a pest, but can also back it up with scoring points. He's got 9 points in the 7 games. And then Ethan Keppen had 7 points in 5 games. Unaware of why he didn't play in 2 games. I just noted him down because he was above a point per game player. Zach Jordan had 7 points in 7 games, and Alex Swetlikoff had 6 points in 5 games. So that's as close as I'm going to get with that one. And, it'll be interesting too. I wonder if anybody will throw a chicken nugget on the ice to try to get Tatayev involved here. But as far as players to watch, that's kind of where I went with the players.
He was scratched at some point in that last series.
Was he?
Yeah, he was benched at, I think, 1 or 2 of those games. Someone have to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I remember seeing him out of the lineup. Maybe it was injury. I don't know. I'm just maybe speaking without the actual knowledge here, but at the same time, I know he was out of the lineup for a couple of them. I don't think he's really found that footing that he had with Toledo in Fort Wayne.
It's just bizarre that he came back over.
It is.
Travis, are any of these guys from Fort Wayne like surprises that they're doing this well? Or are these like their main top guys that are just performing in the playoffs?
Well, Eliardi and Duggan are kind of like their top guys. To be honest, I'm still learning all the rosters down here and players. This has kind of become like a full-time gig. So learning the league has been a little bit of a as we go scenario, but
it's been fun, right?
Yeah, it is fun, but it's just one of those things. Like, I think you kind of, when you see a team this much, who their top guys are, and their top guys kind of performed in that series. So
we know about that.
Yeah, we definitely do. I mean, if you go off the list that I just rambled off for Toledo, it's part of it. But I think it's just going to come down to, like, can your top guns continue to produce, and can you get some timely goals from maybe your guys that are your depth pieces?
You need your best players to be your best players.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how any game is, really, if you think about it.
Nick's just throwing all the cliches at us tonight. I love it.
That's why we keep him around.
It really is. The thing I think I like the most about that list of players, when you list off the guys in the Walleye, there's 5 players in that list with 6 points in those 4 games. In that entire list you gave us for Fort Wayne, everyone is either 6 points to 9 points in 5 to 7 games. So at the same time, we know it's going to be tighter, but when the Walleye are firing, they're firing.
Well, I think
And
quality
it's
of
dangerous.
opponent has something to do with that too. Like,
Ooh, shots fired at Indy.
well, I mean, they were the 4 seed. They waited until the last weekend to make the playoffs, so I think it was just expected that the Fort Wayne and Iowa series would be a lot tighter than Toledo and Indy, but it's neither here nor there.
That's fair. Let's hit an ad break here real quick. When we come back, we'll talk about the goaltending matchup, and then, like you said, Travis, we'll kind of go over just what else to expect here, the lineup, and then we have fan questions about this series we want to answer too. So quick ad, and we'll do all that when we come back.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. A game's left for you to get in the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And welcome back. All right, let's talk about this goaltending matchup with this series here, because obviously we knew through the first 4 games, Toledo went the split. Gylander played 2, Bednar played 2. And I look over at Fort Wayne's here, and I see 2 goaltenders as well. But it looks like one was kind of put in when the other one wasn't doing so hot type of situation here.
That's what it appeared to me too. Granted, I'm kind of just looking at it like you are, and you look at Toledo, like maybe the stats don't like tell the entire story. I mean, you see like Jan Bednar's 2-0 with an .882 save percentage and a 3 goals against. Carter Gylander's 2-0 with a .907 and a 2 goals against. So you don't really, you won the both games. Yeah, you'd love to see Yanni above 900, but you just take the 2 wins and move on. And it's a very small sample size. I get that too. The other 2 both played in 4 games versus 2. So there was clearly a switch in there at some point.
Well, one played in 3, one played in 4. If they both played in 4, I don't know what happened with that series.
I thought I both seen 4. Maybe I could have.
One's 2-1 and one's 2-2.
Oh, I was looking at games played and I swore I seen 4.
Unless he got pulled.
That's what I'm thinking happened is when there was a pull.
Probably there's a half game in there somewhere.
Probably in that 7-6 game.
I could imagine.
But, you know, to get into Fort Wayne, and Nick, this is where we're going to have to kind of ask you some questions here with
Me?
Yeah, with Nate Day. He's the Firebird goaltender, if I'm not mistaken, that signed with Fort Wayne.
Yeah, so Nate, so I think I can speak on the split is I believe one of the goalies was injured, and so they had to pull the other guy in. I thought I texted you about this a couple of weeks ago because I was wondering what was going on, because I know, Travis, you've been watching this series because whoever came out of it was potentially playing us. But Mr. Day was actually drafted by the Oilers. So the Oilers affiliate team for the ECHL is the Komets. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, I'm looking for the
Yes.
shaking heads here. He had finished the series at Flint. It was 4-1 series in the playoffs down here. He gets shipped over to Fort Wayne. He plays only 3 games with them for the regular season. So he's coming in like real fresh in this league. And I honestly think this is great for him. He did really well with Flint. I don't have his like full stats for the his entire career in Flint, but this guy, he's patient. He's played a lot of games when he was in Flint. He played 4 seasons The first season he only played 8 games, 32 the next, 54 the third, 59 the fourth. So he was their main guy running this. So I mean, I'm not surprised that he's doing so well with Fort Wayne. He's a patient guy. He doesn't overreact. He's makes small movements to be able to kind of trace the puck, kind of like what you see with Kosa when he was down there. Uh, I mean, he's a solid goaltender. I'm happy that he's having the success that he is. I just hope it kind of runs out because his stats right now are pretty insane for Fort Wayne.
Yeah,
941 save percentage and a 1.47 goals against average. So he's clearly came in and gave them some stability where they needed it.
That's just in the playoffs. So you look at those 3 regular season games, .43 goals against and a .981 save percentage. And when you talk about his junior numbers, those don't match up at all. I mean, granted, it is a lot of games. He played a ton of games in junior, but his overall, because I do have the career stat for you there, Nick, in the OHL, 153 games, 3.49 and a .880 save percentage in the regular season. And in the playoffs, not much better.
Well,
so
and Flint was not good the last 4 years either. I mean, well, I want to say 4 years because that Ammel's been 3 years removed, and they went pretty far that year. So
yeah, that year you're thinking of, he was a 3.91 and a .874 in the regular season and a 3.24 and a .896 in the playoffs.
And he played only
sub
32. Yeah, he only played 32 games, and there was kind of a goalie controversy down in Flint during that season. I can't remember who was the starter,
was his
who was the
name?
backup, but there was a goalie controversy at that time. I wish I should have looked this up. So I think that kind of affected it as well. But that was their only really good year that Flint had. So didn't have a good team in front of them. That OHL league is a pretty high scoring league. It's a tough league. And when you're playing 54 to 59 games like that's a lot of games.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's the juniors though, right? So people are gonna, flame me in the comments for that. But it is a lot of games. You don't see that in the ECHL. You don't see that here in the AHL. You barely see it in the NHL nowadays.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
going to be
what's
interesting to watch and see
sweet
what he
spot?
does.
Yeah, I think the sweet spot's like what, 30 games, 40 games for most
About
starting
that,
goaltenders.
yeah. Yeah, and you're talking 54 and 59 games in the last 2 regular seasons. That's a lot. It's going to be interesting, but at the same time, I don't think he's faced a pro team like this yet. So
Oh, no.
it's going to be really interesting to see, because if I do remember one thing, he doesn't overreact, he doesn't overcorrect. He can get a little rattled if things don't go his way. So it's going to be kind of one of those things where, just like round 1, the Walleye have to start fast and they've got to come out guns blazing again. And you got to get him a little rattled, make him a little uncomfortable. We know the Huntington Center is probably going to make him feel uncomfortable right off the bat. We just got to kind of push that line a little bit further there out of his comfort zone. So the goalie matchup's going to be interesting. I mean, you're talking rookie goaltender who's now only played 3 full playoff games coming into this series against one of the powerhouses of the ECHL. That's a tall order, but there's also, I think about this, you look at the Edmonton Oilers goalie situation and you're an Oilers draft pick. There's any guy that's got something to play for and prove right now, it's probably Nathan Day. He probably wants to work his way into some conversations in the future here. He's only 20 years old. He's young in goalie years here, so he's got a lot to play for. So it's probably going to put a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and a little bit of a spark under him to go play his best games. So I'm anticipating it's going to be fun to watch.
I love the fact that they started him right into the E though. Like that, they're following Detroit's footsteps there. I mean, Ken Holland draft pick. I mean, I just think it's a smart way. And you saw the success that Kosa is having, and the goalies that we have here is Bednar and Kylander. I mean, I think it's a perfect position for him. And it kind of gives him some confidence now. He's got a good team playing in front of him. I think this.
We're about to ruin that.
Yeah, this series is gonna rock him, but it's good. It was good for him.
He's gonna look like Stuart Skinner out there.
Yeah.
Well, and to kind of wrap it all back up with him, he's also got Brett Borshew, I believe is how you say it. And he went 2-2 with a .826 and a 4.80. So I think it stays net right now.
I would say so. Well, Trav, we hinted about it earlier. We were going to talk about what you think this lineup's going to look like for the Walleye with Spezia coming back in and just kind of what they need to do and what you would do in this situation going up against this Fort Wayne roster.
Yeah, and again, this is all just purely speculation.
Yeah.
The hardest part is somebody's got to come out with Spezia coming back in, right? So it's all a total guessing game. I'm glad that I'm not Pat and I don't have to make that decision. Everybody that made the roster probably deserved to be on the roster, so that's a credit to all them guys for making it. But I really think they go back to what worked with Spezia, Bliss, and Hawkins as your first line. It worked so well, when everybody was healthy. Why not? And then Louis was at one point, if you remember, Louis with Craggs and Cruz was humming at like a first line rate there for a substantial amount of time, and would probably be a first line on a couple teams in the ECHL. So that was a line at one point that was humming. So I'd like to see them kind of maybe rekindle that. And then you kind of get into to where you got new additions with new faces everywhere. You get Bannell. I think Bannell with Moyle and Ambrosio could be fun. You get Ambrosio, who's kind of the setup man right now. 6 assists in the first round. 4 of them came in one night. So in Bannell, all he does is score goals. So, and Moyle can play center or the wing. That's, again, where you just don't know.
It's pretty crazy to think that your 5th leading goal scorer on the team would be 3rd line in the playoffs,
Yeah, and again, we're probably going to be I'm going to probably be completely wrong, but that's all the fun of this, right? And then I got Keenan with Moskal and Gallant rounding out the forward group, and then no changes on defense.
I like that. And then obviously the goalies, no changes there either, and probably keeping the rotation, I would assume.
Yeah, I would assume you'll see Jan in game 1, and you'll see.
Doesn't Gyro play really well in Fort Wayne though? Isn't there something with that? He was having had a really good record in Fort Wayne this season.
I think it was the 2 games. The one game he stopped 44 or 47 shots and just kind of stole one out there, or deserved to steal one. I don't remember if they won that game specifically, but I remember he had a couple quality starts against Fort Wayne. Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. I like the lineup. I don't think you're far off, but at the same time, who knows? We're just a podcast. We could be completely off. We don't know what happens in the mind of Pat Mickish, but so far we trust it, and it'll probably stay that way. I know we're going to talk about around the ECHL and update in the playoffs. Before we dive into that, I want to dive into some of the fan questions here because I feel like we've already hit on some of these topics, but also the first one we're going to jump into will kind of give us our predictions for this series before we talk about the rest of the league. So the first one, we'll go to our Patreon listeners first, and Alan asked, does it go 7? So let's get our predictions out of the way here quick, boys. Travis, what's the series going?
It only makes sense for it to go 7. Death, Taxes, and Toledo and Fort Wayne go 7. It just sounds right, seems right. They're both really good teams. They played in a lot of tight games this year. I got Toledo in 7.
Nick?
Toledo in 3.
That's not how it works.
Toledo in 4.
This isn't a best of 5. It's a best of 7.
Well, they could win in 4.
Yeah, no, I think Toledo. I think it goes 6. Honestly, I think if they can get today and they can wreck his day, right? I think they could do 6. I don't think it'll go 7. This Toledo team, you guys went down and saw the playoff game. I wasn't able to, and you guys both came back saying they were another team. It was a whole nother level. I think this is going to continue to burn. They're going to continue to burn that fuel. They're going to go past the Komets. It's going to be all right there. It's just, I can't see it going 7. I can't see it going 4. I think 6 is a good number.
Nick's feeling extra punny today, and it's really killing me over here. I'm going to say 5. I think the Walleye protect home ice and go into Fort Wayne up 2-0. I think Fort Wayne gets 1 at home, and I think the Walleye close it out on the road even. I don't think you see them back here for game 6 and 7. I think it's 5. I'm not just saying that so we're all saying different things. That was my pick before we went into the show. I don't know why that sticks out to me. I just have a feeling. And I know we said this last round. I'm gonna say it again. It's not going to be a 4-0 sweep. I'm sorry. We've mentioned the streak now. It's not. There's no way. There's no way. No way.
Until they do it again.
We've been wrong before on this show. Wouldn't be the first time. Won't be the last. I'll head over to Twitter for our next question here. This is from Steve. Steve says the Facebook experts said the walleye were too small and not tough enough to handle Indy. Will the fish meet the same fate against the Komets? I love the way the question was phrased.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've heard the same thing for the last however many years this team's been in existence. Too small, too fast, blah, blah, blah. You know my opinion on it if you've listened to it. You don't need 23 goons. You need skill with a little bit of grit, and I think Toledo's shown that they can provide some grit. If you will look back to the very first game, Sam Craig's laying a dude out at the buzzer. No, I don't buy into that.
Same. Randy, also Patreon subscriber, but asked on Twitter, do we dare call Hawkins the superstar? He's got a lot of nicknames, Randy.
I think he's definitely a superstar in the ECHL. That's pretty obvious. So I'm going to say yes to that.
I'm going to stick to Mr. Clean. That's what I call him.
Oh, he's going to kill you.
Absolutely kill you if he hears this. We might just give him a hug like last time, though, because he's so excited to see him.
That's true.
I actually had a good video message, and we're going to figure out how to get that to him, hopefully before the game.
We'll see what happens with it. Go Walleye on Twitter asks, like to know more about Day. Oh, we answered a lot of those questions for you already earlier in the show, so you are welcome there. Do you think he can continue this torrid pace in the ECHL? Dude is outperforming his junior statistics by a wide margin. And I think I kind of hinted at it there. I don't know how long that's sustainable, but he's got a lot to play for and a lot to prove right now. So it's a big question mark, but those numbers in reality don't look sustainable in the playoffs. But at the same time, who the heck knows? I'm not giving him any bulletin board material.
I do want to add something too, because I forgot about this. His first game with the Komets, he had a shutout.
Something about goalies in first games that we've watched.
So crazy. So crazy.
Go down to Sam here. Will the Hansen line reunite, or does 67 stay with 16 and 18? And Travis, you say the Hansen line reunites. I say the Hansen line reunites. I also appreciate the fact you called them the Hansen line. I love that that's caught on. Well done, Hawk. But I think they reunite, and it's probably going to be magical, honestly.
You got anything on that, Nick?
Why would you separate them? You can't. You got to put them on the ice together.
I agree.
Next question's from Toledo's Cursed. I have questions about the name. What? It's not cursed. No, there's no curse. How many games do you guys think the series will go? We did answer that, and why the 2-3-2 is the stupidest format of all time.
No, 2-5 is the stupidest format of all time.
100% is the dumbest one. And if you want to talk about dumb schedules, just look at the Griffins. It is a dumb format, but obviously it comes down to arena availability and all that this time of year. You know, venues do book out shows, and it does come down to travel, especially in this league. Travel costs, you try to keep them as low as possible. It's not a hockey fan's favorite, but at the same time, we take what we can get, and we're just happy the teams are still in the dance, right?
Yep.
And then Vane Lockhart, how many fights do you think there will be? I don't know.
In the first period? The first game? The whole series?
Maybe one, maybe two, max.
I'm going to go over.
There's going to be scrums. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be scrums, but
if it's going 7 and you think it's only going to be 2 fights?
Toledo doesn't do it a lot, man. They don't need to. They let the scoreboard talk.
Kind of exactly what we're hoping they do, honestly. Again, if they need to and there's a time and place for it, obviously there's a guy on this roster that'll step up if they need to. Like, I don't know, if I'm Fort Wayne, there's one guy on this roster, even when I look at it now, I wouldn't want to fight, and that's Carson Bantle, because he's just a steamroller, honestly, at this point. Him in an actual fight, which I know we've seen him drop him in the ECHL at least once. I don't know if I'd want to fight that guy. I don't think it'll be a big fighting series. I think it'll be a lot of hits, a lot of pushing and shoving, a lot of after whistle scrums, but I don't think it'll expand from there. But again, we've been proven wrong before, so who the heck knows?
Look at the Battle of Florida. I think that's a kind of a recipe for what you might see. Very hard hitting, very physical, but stand up, throwing pans. There hasn't really been a whole lot of that.
I feel like we saw 2 fights the game that we were at.
Regular season.
Yeah.
Different story, guys. You're not only like you're not trying to put your team in a bad position, you're also, protecting yourself. You get through this round, there's still 2 to go. You're not trying to break your hand Anthony Mantha style in a fight. Like, you just don't want to do that. You're not putting the team at risk. You're not putting yourself at risk. So I don't think it'll be a high fighting series. I think it's just going to be a aggressive one, but not a lot of fights. I head over to Facebook, our Facebook page, for the next comments here. First one from Lucas. Who do you guys think will be the shining star of the series? It's a good question. Trav?
Carson Bannell.
I like that pick. Nick?
Mr. Tyler Spezia.
He took mine. Just because he took mine, I'm going to say Trenton Bliss. I mean, we saw the return of Trenton Bliss that we haven't seen too much of in the end of the regular season there as he was battling injury and everything. And what we saw in the first round was impressive. Guy likes the spotlight and he likes big games. And this whole series is big games. I think you could see Trenton Bliss do some serious damage to Fort Wayne in this one.
That's a good one.
I got a different one.
Oh, no.
I got another one.
I like it. What's your other one?
I don't think he had a point in the first round. Nolan Moyle.
Ooh.
Bigger, physical player, playing down in the lineup with possibly Bannell and Ambrosio. Could see him having a big series.
Come out and get a Hattie in the first game, like his first game.
His first game at home, I think.
Yeah, first game at home, I should say. Yeah. Watch that happen. Last question here. Dustin asks, what players do you predict will have the most time called up next season?
Oh, God.
It's hard to think about at this stage, but I give you the obvious one. Carson Bannell.
Yeah.
Either of the goaltenders.
Oh, that's that. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's one we'll have to sit on and think about. Stay tuned for the season review episode, off-season content. We'll be talking a lot more about that. That's tough to think about at this point. And again, there's 2 obvious answers: goalies or Bannell. So
it's about all we got.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot of Griffins contracts left down in Toledo. Chaz's contract's not a Griffins contract anymore. Bliss's contract, I believe, I have to be corrected on this, was either through the remainder of this season. I don't think they signed him for next season. So you're literally just looking at Bantle and the goalies are the only ones signed to Grand Rapids. So yeah, that's all we.
Nick Andrews is signed to Grand Rapids as well.
Oh yeah, he's on a 2-way. Yep,
He's
you're right.
Man, that's a tough question.
That's it. Yeah, that's definitely an off-season one we'll revisit for sure. But that's all the questions we have. Oh,
that might be in like beginning of next season when you see the rosters.
Yeah,
that's probably more likely for that time. But we can talk about it in the summer too.
Oh yeah, we'll find stuff to talk about all summer. The show doesn't stop when the season's over. Unfortunately.
Fortunately. We are not complaining here, Brandon.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. No, I do love doing the summer stuff because that's where we dive into interviews and other fun content. Our summer content last year was a ton of fun, so I'm excited for what we'll be able to do this summer. I know we've already got ideas in the works and things in motion. So that is all the questions we have, though. Thanks to everyone who asked questions on this one. Sometimes when we post asking for questions, you get 1 or 2 or no response at all, and especially when we're just asking about the ECHL. And we got a ton of questions for this one. So thank you all. That was a lot of fun to go through those and just jump into some topics that we might not have talked about today. Let's dive in, though, to the rest of the ECHL and the rest of the Kelly Cup playoffs as they are going right now. All right. So on screen here for the YouTube listeners or watchers or viewers, whatever we're going to call them today, we got the bracket up here for you, but we'll run you guys through it. So obviously in the Central Division, we'll start there. We know Toledo and Fort Wayne are matching up this round. Mountain Division, Kansas City and Tahoe. Kansas won their series over Tulsa 4-2. Tahoe won theirs over Wichita 4-0. That's going to be a interesting series, isn't it, Trev?
The two Goliaths of the Mountain Division from this year going head to head will be fun to watch. I'm taking Kansas City.
Ooh, I'm taking Tahoe.
I like Tahoe's logo, so I'm going Tahoe.
I only want Kansas City because I've got this mapped out as a revenge tour. So
Fair.
That's fair. I respect it. Oh, head over to the Eastern Conference here. North Division. You got Norfolk, who beat Wheeling in their series 4-1, and then Three Rivers, who swept Reading in theirs. Trav, who you got coming out of this one?
Admirals. They
All
they brought it in a way that I was not expecting, and I don't know. I really thought Wheeling being in a different division was going to help them this year. Clearly, I was way wrong there, and that's okay. But I just
They kind of got screwed by Wilkes-Barre though too.
a little bit. Not having Gauthier didn't help.
Yeah.
But I liked what in the few games I watched a couple minutes of a few games in that series and really liked what Norfolk did. So I'm going to take the Admirals.
Nick?
Oh, you want to pick for me? I'm going to go with the Lions.
That's also my pick in this one too. It just feels like one of those teams that's just kind of rolling through the playoffs right now. But again, Norfolk is going to be a challenge for them. I don't think it's going to be a sweep in this series here. I think it could go 5 or 6, but I got the Lions in this one as well. Then we head over to the South Division and the Battle of Florida. Florida Everblades already had one Battle of Florida. They got another round to Battle of Florida too. But the shocking thing is Orlando beating South Carolina. What the heck happened, Travis?
The curse. You don't want the Brown Cup. You don't want it. You never end up winning, it seems like. And boy, was that meme of the Solar Bears tweeting out. Did you guys open that link this morning?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the 9th green at 9, wear something nice. That was absolute gold by the Solar Bears. So credit to them. And I mean, what a gutsy performance to go into South Carolina and shut them out on their home ice in Game 7. So a huge credit to them. And we got to remember too, at one point, I know they weren't high in the standings at this point in the year, but they came to Toledo and took 3 of 6 points in that weekend they were up here. So they're tough out, but I'm still taking the Everblades. It would not surprise me if Orlando gave Florida more than they want, though.
Nick?
I'm going the Solar Bears here. I know you want a revenge tour, but I think it's time somebody dethrones these guys. And how can you go against this bear with the sunglasses and a hockey stick? That's a A+ logo right there.
It is a good logo, man. Their branding is very good. It's been good ever since their IHL days.
Also, quick fun fact, the Solar Bears are owned by the DeVosses who own the Griffins. So
it is a fun fact.
Let's go that route too, Chaos.
Pure chaos. I'm going to go with Trav on this one and go with the Everblades. If you're mapping out a revenge tour, I don't really care about the Kansas City one as much as the Florida one.
I do. That's
I know you do. I know you do. But at the same time, I think we've made it pretty clear on this show who we want the finals matchup to be. And obviously, I didn't ask you guys who's going to come out of the Central Division in this one because
we already made our predictions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the rest of the league, though, as it stands right now. I don't know if any of these series are underway yet. I haven't checked. I don't believe they are. I think everything kind of kicks off Thursday, Friday, right?
I haven't looked ahead, but I would assume you might get one start Thursday, but most likely it's going to start Friday. And again, it's round 2, so I don't want to discredit the fact that you won a round. It's not an easy task, and to do it it's not an easy thing to do, so be happy you've at least won one round.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I just can reconfirm everything starts Friday. So that's when the rest of the action will kick off there. Yeah, be happy we won a round.
Yeah, and a game.
This is some salty Griffins fans over here right now. I'm sorry, guys. It's the roller coaster of emotion of covering these two teams is wild.
We've been up here for cloud knock, up in the clouds, and you guys have been down here for so long.
We've been struggling since November, bro.
Yes.
Oh,
That bracket is so nice, so clean, just visually appealing right there. Like, I wish the AHL had something. Instead, we're like watching, I don't know what they've got. It's confusing, it's
AHL's playoff thing
chaos.
sucks.
It's like I set it up. I don't know. And then like Brandon comes in and creates the Kelly one. Like it looks nice. It's simple, easy to read, easy to follow. And it helps too with the format is the same throughout the entire time in this with the ECHL.
I want to clarify, I didn't create that. That was from the ECHL's website.
Oh wow, that's more impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, the AHL playoff bracket, it's finally updated today, like to show the rounds, even though there's already one series with 2 games done and one with 1. And yeah,
Oh my God.
it's fun over here in the American League, guys. Tune into the other episodes of the show that aren't Toledo based to hear all the chaos. I think with this though, it's a good time. Any final thoughts from you, Travis, on just this series overall?
See everybody there this weekend. If you see us, say hello. We love to meet everybody. That's probably the biggest thing. Excited for you two to come down. Excited for you two to see your first Fort Wayne playoff game. Like, telling you, it's going to be even crazier than what you're used to. And Elaine's coming down with you guys, so she'll get to see a playoff game. So that's cool for her. It's like become a ritual. Everybody comes at once.
It's just the Grand Rapids guys bringing Grand Rapids people to Toledo, man. It's what we do best, honestly, because not much else that we do that's great. But anyways.
Yeah, grow the game. That's the biggest thing. I think that was really our point in this whole podcast is like growing the game, getting community, meeting people, talking hockey, So I'm super excited for coming down. It's going to be a heck of a series. I hope. I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm excited for this series. I've been clipping this game, so I haven't really been able to watch them. So I'm excited to be there in person, playoff round, playoff hockey, because it didn't feel like that last night. And so super excited for Saturday, just not excited for the drive there and back.
Nick's handling the Griffins' loss last night really well, if you can tell. Oh, buddy. Yeah, I'm pumped. Like I said in the beginning of the show, I'm always excited to come down to Toledo, and I'll echo what Travis said. If you see us, say hello. Don't be shy. We're nobody. So honestly, just come say hi to us, and
I like to talk to everybody.
We love to talk to the fans, man. I love to talk to everybody in Toledo. They're always so kind, and it's always great to talk hockey with knowledgeable fans and a very knowledgeable fan base. Like, it's just a lot of fun, and it's always fun to see that passion for this team shared with us, especially us Grand Rapids guys who were kind of just welcomed into this fan base Kosa's rookie year. That's really when we identified who the Walleye were, and we've learned so much over our time through our interviews with the Toledo Storm players and just learning the history of why Toledo is a hockey town. And for those that don't believe me, you just gotta go experience it yourself to have the facts backed up there, because it's a hockey town. Looking forward to the sellout streak continuing this weekend as well. I don't know what number it'll be at, but at that point, it's just getting ridiculous at this point. It's almost funny. I just laugh. Like, I couldn't like fathom that many sellouts in a row up here in GR. Granted, building is bigger, but at the same time, 5,000 people for a playoff game, granted on a Tuesday night last night. But I think if it was a Tuesday in Toledo, we know it wouldn't be 5,000 people. Let's be real. So we're excited. Looking forward to seeing everyone. That is where we wrap up the episode, though. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Before we end it, we got to thank the sponsors of the show, of course, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN. And when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, use code WEST to save a few bucks on your order, and it also supports the show. So we appreciate you guys there. And of course, we got to thank our Patreon subscribers. As you heard today, some comments from them. Love the participation from them there. And on patreon.com/Hockeytown West Podcast, you get unedited episodes, which will explain some of my hands and my face during this episode. If you watched, you'll understand it after the edit there. Trust me, it's worth it. You get unedited episodes, though, giveaways, bonus episodes, extra content, all that fun stuff. So like I said, patreon.com/Hockeytown West Podcast to join our current followers, who are...
We've got Randy, Alan, Derek, Elaine, Griffin, John, Lori, Michael, Regan, Tyler, and Claire.
Thank you all for the love and support. We appreciate it. And like I said earlier, I'm going to say it again. If you haven't joined us yet, head over to patreon.com/Hockeytown West podcast to check out what we offer over there. With that, wrapping this one up, everybody, will talk to you, I don't even know when next, probably after game 2 of the Grand Rapids Griffins, or even maybe Monday with a weekend recap of the Walleye. Our schedules are so up in the air with the playoffs. There's no set schedule to this show at this time, and I don't think there really ever has been, let's be real. But at the same time, playoffs just cause madness, and that's kind of what we're here for. So until we talk again, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.